Hi guys, and welcome to this week's collective reading. As you can see, I'm back home and I'm really excited to dive into the cards because they link together so perfectly today. So our first card is Earth and Air. And an interesting side note, I don't think I've ever got this card out of the deck before, so this is my first time seeing it really. And the messages on this card are stabilization, physical integration, mental clearing. And this is definitely a card of balance for these dualities, right? And being able to integrate both of their gifts within us, right? So I'm going to pick this up since the light was shining on it. So with the King of Water, water being our emotions and our heart space, this card brings in the energy of having complete calm, right? Because the king is in control of his emotions. I don't want to block this card, how I hold my hand. So I want to make sure you can see this with this because they came out together. So the king is in complete control of his emotions, right? This card stands for the safe harbor in a storm. And this card is all about letting go of gender bias, right? Because the King of Water is just an archetypal role that exists in all of us, right? This is not about male versus female or what sex you've been assigned at birth, right? This is a placement in a hierarchy to help us understand how well we are in control of the element, right? Which in this case is water, or our emotions and heart space. And the heart space is literally at the center of our human body, right? In the chakra system. And we've got the earth and the earth and air embodied in our root chakra. And we've got air in our upper chakras, right? And then the heart comes in right at the center, right? So this is telling me that at this time, probably because we just did have a very introspective period with the lunar eclipse the other day, right? But at this time, we are really working on bringing in and integrating this balance and clearing that is really helping to strengthen our emotional field, right? And I do really need to move on to this next card of the new man, because these cards really tie in for one message. But, you know, I also like to layer them so you can understand each one individually, right? But on this card, it says, it's upside down, sorry. So enlightened masculine, potential, and new earth. And this card is all about stepping away from a society that clings to gender roles, right? That's why I highlighted in this last card, the King of Water, how it also talks on stepping away from gender bias, right? Because these cards are so interlinked. And this has a double meaning for man when it says the new man, right? As both just humankind in general, as in the new human, right? As well as in man as in male, right? And I do strongly believe, right, that we are in a time where the divine feminine is rising. And it's really important at this time to not allow this feminine energy to completely take over the masculine, right? Right now, the divine feminine rising is a good thing, right? It's a positive that needs to happen, but we need overall balance within, which means nurturing our divine masculine as well, right? And this is reversed. So it is highlighting that this is something we need to work on, right? And remember, this is not about male versus female. These are energies that need to exist within all of us in balance, right? We have to be able to remove our 3D understanding of what the words masculine and feminine mean, right? To really be able to work with and understand these energies, right? And this will be harder if you have any trauma related to sexual identity, which honestly most, if not all of us, do, just because of how we are raised. And the divine feminine is on the rise, right? As more and more men and women are able to step out of roles that embodied in toxic masculinity and in toxic femininity, right? Both toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, yes, they are both very much still alive and strong, but these toxic embodiments are easier than ever to identify and say no to, right? That we aren't willing as a society to put up with them anymore, right? We're getting a lot more pushback, especially with social media involved, which isn't always a good thing, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But for many of us, right, the pushback is to step into the more divine feminine energy. And this is really shown with the King of Water right here. Because even though this is the king, right, this is the masculine finding balance with a feminine element, water. And the new man here is reversed because he requires the missing element from these two cards, right? So we've got earth and air, and their balance nurturing what? Water. And what we're not nurturing at this time is fire, right? The King of Fire is the energy we need to look to as a goal to work towards being able to embody, right? It's the energy that will bring this new man card into its upright position. Ooh, trying to pick it up. And that would be the divine masculine in its glory, right? And we're just not there yet. It's not a bad thing, right? Right now we're just working with the King of Water, and that's beautiful. But you can keep this in mind as a next step goal, right? So the King of Fire of the new man, right? He requires balance of water energy, right? Because the King of Fire needs balance of his emotional field, right? To not let a hot temper overtake. This is why it's not a bad thing that we're focused here right now on water and emotions. But the King of Fire, or the new man, he becomes the doer, right? Fire is our solar plexus. It's the energy that takes our ideas and puts them into action, right? And when putting things into action, the King of Fire, or new man, is able to stay grounded, focused, and passionate, right? He's involved from conception of the idea and sees it through to completion. And completion is the key word that many of us fail at with our ideas. The King of Fire wouldn't start something and then abandon it or let it fizzle out. And we'll move on. Here we've got the Two of Air, which brings in the most beautiful message, right? And this is telling us we're moving out of duality consciousness and into polarity consciousness, right? Because everything does have an opposite, right? But this is about seeing and understanding how these opposites all have a role to play, an importance to them, a necessity in their existence, right? In duality consciousness, we see things as black and white, wrong and right, right? But polarity consciousness can accept that both just need to exist, that one cannot exist without the other. So wrong and right become a moot point, right? So this brings back in the energy of unifying and integrating, where duality would only serve to separate and divide, right? And we're moving towards this, right? It's just a reality that the new man, the new enlightened man, right, isn't there yet. But we are getting there, right? And this energy of divine masculine and divine feminine being balanced, right? Of fire and water existing together in harmony. These energies together, spinning in opposite directions, form the yin-yang, right? And this is where we're going. So Our next card is River of Blessings, and it has a message of releasing constraints. I'm going to go ahead and move straight into this card so we can bring through the full message as it stands here in front of us, or as it sits here in front of us. The Nine of Earth down here is a card of altruism, charity, and generosity, right? So together, I'm really seeing these as saying that as you find yourself being showered by this river of blessings, right? Because I really feel that these first cards really show that the energy is flowing for us, right? Because when we're in polarity consciousness, it's flowing and we're shifting out of that duality consciousness, right? But as we receive our blessings, it's important to keep the flow moving by sharing with others. So as you find your gifts, as they open up to you, it's important to find ways to share them. And this is so linked to this idea of the feminine rising, right? But that the masculine isn't quite yet. Because us finding our gifts and having lots of ideas, right? But the masculine still being a bit unbalanced, and we're still unsure of how to take action with these gifts and ground them into reality. So remember, when you feel like an imposter or not good enough to share whatever gift it is that you've been blessed with, you're actually blocking yourself from being able to give and share. Even if you're putting a price on your services. This is a classic example of how the divine masculine is being shut down, because putting a price on things is frowned upon, right? But it is a necessity for our survival, right? And for the survival of whatever it is you're trying to create. And this creation is the vehicle for how you can share your gifts, right? So with that, our next card is Innovation, with a message of new creations. So we are in this energy of having many new ideas. And this is supported by the Ace of Air down here, which is also a card of new ideas, as air is our thoughts or ideas, and the aces are all cards for new beginnings. So new ideas, a new way of thinking and viewing things, right? This is a new paradigm, a time to let go of outdated ideas and beliefs and make space for understanding or understanding of who we are. And the card of Innovation brings in the balance of masculine and feminine, as this card is about having new ideas and being able to follow them through from beginning, conception, right, to ending. And being supported by the Ace of Air down here is just perfect. The synchronicity in this reading is absolute perfection. But yeah, I love this week's message. The lunar eclipse really shifted huge energies, and I love where we've collectively been left. And please just remember, right, as this River of Blessings card suggests, as you feel stuck energy shifting and starting to flow, allow that flow to keep going by sharing your talents. Do your best to bring action into your energy field so we can shift into the new man energy, right? As we're already bringing balance into our feminine with this King of Water, right? I am wishing you all the best. I think I will be doing the midweek collective reading over on Instagram on Thursday this week, as it's already Monday and Wednesday just feels too soon. So if you follow me on Instagram, it's also at Nath's Garden, same spelling as here on YouTube, right? And the midweek reading can be expected on Thursday. And now that I'm back home, the readings should pick back up to their normal schedule after that, which I always aim for Sundays here on YouTube and Wednesdays on Instagram. So I will see you all soon, and thank you. Bye, guys.